calling the meeting to order, and we'll start with roll call on the left.
Frank Mills.
Karla,
June Gagnon,
John Maher,
Karla, Desjardins.
Dan Kevich.
Katie O'Neill,
Brian Wright,
Samantha Green,
Mark Reeds, Council of the Commission, and joined by Trent Casey of our last hearing.
All right, thank you. We do have a quorum. All members are present, so there are no alternates to be appointed at this time. We have public hearing A 26-1SP of Katie Pettit-Snelling. Is the applicant here for this application?
If you don't know, Katie, are you here? Apparently not, so we have opened the hearing, we can continue without taking any comments.
Okay, so because the applicant's not here to present their application for public hearing, I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman, continue the public hearing to a date, time, and place.
So it is April 14th, 7 p.m., Town Hall. All right. June, are you willing to modify your motion?
I'll modify it for April 14th.
All right, I have a motion by June to continue the public hearing to April 14th, 7 p.m. Town Hall. I have a second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is continued. Moving on to the regular meeting, I'll call that meeting to order. Additions and corrections to the agenda, I see none. Is that correct, staff?
Correct.
All right, so there are none. Citizen participation. This is opportunity of the public to address the board on something that is not an open application or a closed public hearing. So is there anyone for citizen participation this evening? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Moving on to the unfinished old business. Item A, application 25-6ZC of Costco Wholesale Corporation. This is a continuation from last meeting. So since deliberation has already begun, Kathy Mestermaker-Harris and Zulfikar Ali were appointed at the last meeting for this application. Therefore, Frank Mills and Dan Kevich will not be participating in this part of the meeting, so they are excluded from the discussion and the vote. So board members, this is a continuation. At the last meeting, I had made a motion that did not get seconded. No other motions were made. So the application was continued to give the board time to consider the plan of conservation and development in making a decision. Staff has put forward some suggested motions. You are not obligated to stick to any of the suggested motions. You do have the freedom to make your own motion. So are there any items for discussion on this application? So I'll just repeat my points from last meeting. So at the last meeting, I indicated that I felt that 0 Howe Road, 0 Pine Lane, and 0 Tarbox Road were not appropriate for zone change because of their proximity to the residential neighborhoods, as well as the goal of the plan of conservation and development that indicated the integrity of neighborhoods should be maintained. Also, the 5 properties here are not indicated as part of the proposed commercial and industrial development zone on the plan of conservation and development. However, one of the 5 lots is already zoned to Industrial 1. The proposal is to change all of the properties to Industrial 2. Industrial 2 is a lesser use than Industrial 1, so that would actually bring Industrial 1 lot in more conformance with the plan of conservation and development. Also, the argument could be made that 407 Tarbox Road, because it abuts an already industrial zoned property, could reasonably be rezoned to keep consistency with that other lot. So those were my points from last meeting. Do board members have other items to discuss tonight?
I don't think it's reasonable to change any of that.
Okay.
I think when people move into a residential section, they can reasonably hope that that will be the same. I mean, 40 years.
Can you speak into the microphone? And make sure the microphone is on.
I think it's reasonable for people that are living in a residential section to expect that area to stay residential. So I don't see any reason for a zone change.
Okay. Any other board members?
Yeah, I agree with her because a lot of people came here and spoke about it. They're very upset. They've been there 20, 30 years. And you're going to change their land, their neighborhoods, for a project that will last 2 years and will leave 600 trucks a day. That's 1,200 truck trips a day through Route 12 down to the corner of Route 12 and Lathrop Road. We sat there today and counted the trucks that went by, and in 30 minutes, 10 trucks came from Lowe's and Western Express. And we have also gone down and visited the neighborhoods down there and looked around, and they're being crowded in by industry. And the people that are making the money now are going to be gone in 2 years when their project's done, and we're going to be left with the trucks. So no, I don't like the project at all. So I wouldn't approve any of it.
Okay. Ali?
Yes, Karla, I want you to read those three options, please, which one they dropped.
Sure. So staff did make some recommendations of options. One of those include the approval of the 5 lots that were suggested. So that would be the motion to approve the application as presented and shown on the submitted map. It does include an effective date of April 1st, and then the commission should indicate that it is consistent with the plan of conservation and development. There is also a suggested option 2, which is the reduction of the request to reduce 0 Pine Lane and 0 Tarbox Road with the elimination of Howe Road. So that would be approving 2 of the lots, a reduction of 2 of the lots, and then leaving 1 of the lots alone. So that would be to approve the application with those changes. The third option is the representation of the motion that I had made at the last meeting, which was to rezone only 1197 Norwich Road, which is currently industrial, and 407 Tarbox Road. The commission is not tied to those options. Staff did caution, and I always restate this, that if a member wanted to make a motion to deny, it is important to note that if a denial motion fails, it is not an approval. So there would have to be a motion to approve in order to proceed. So a denial of a denial is not an approval, and that's why staff suggests that any motions are made in the affirmative, so that a yes means yes and a no means no, and no revote is needed after a motion is made, seconded, and voted on. So just a word of caution if you're inclined to make a motion to deny. If a motion to deny is not passed, then a motion to approve would have to be made and voted on. So just a word of caution in the phrasing of motions.
So I am going to make a motion. Option 2. I want to make a motion to approve it and make it the zone 2 industrial.
So Ali has made a motion of option 2, which, to be clear, is to approve the application with the changes of excluding 0 Howe Road, approving 1197, 407, and then partially approved to industrial 2, 0 Pine Lane, beginning at the northwest corner of property identified as parcel 005, 0004, 062, along a line offset 30 feet from the boundary heading south, approximately 780 feet, to the area of the intersection of Pine Lane and Toper Road. The line is then extended west approximately 220 feet until it intersects with the town line and 0 Tarbox Road, parcel 004, 0004, 0003, beginning at an existing angle point on the westerly limits of property owned by P Camp Holdings LLC, along a line that is extended approximately 515 feet northwest to the southwest corner of property identified as parcel ID 004, 0004, 002A, then a line extended west approximately 650 feet to the existing Tarbox Road. As shown on map titled option 2, with an effective date of April 1st, 2026, the Commission finds that this change of zone is consistent with the adopted plan of conservation and development. So Ali has made that motion as option 2. Is there a second on that motion? Hearing and seeing no second on that motion has failed. Does a member have another motion to present? Do members have other items they want to discuss before putting forward a motion?
Yeah, I want
Sure, go ahead, John.
The consistency with the PLCD is something that was usually mentioned. And I think it's it's a bit vague, as it pertains to industrial development in that section of town. What it says is industrial development, should be consistent with the character of the area, and any future industrial development should not be expanded without water and sewer and water utilities. I don't know if there are currently sewer and water utilities in that area.
Yes, sewer and water does go down Tarbox Road to an extent, and they would have to bring sewer and water to the property if they were to develop.
So they can hook up there.
And can I ask you where they'd be hooking up to?
That plan has not been decided yet. They could possibly go up Tarbox Road, or they could bring it down Route 12 and then to the property.
So, then primarily, the proposed development is largely in the town of Canton. So,
It's roughly 50-50.
right, but what I understand is the first phase of the project, which involves the larger warehouse buildings in Canterbury.
It is, yes.
We're going to be receiving water, providing water, and receiving sewage from a development which, at least initially, is in another town.
Yes.
And so, I guess I have to say what benefit is that becomes Plainfield.
So I think this is about a zone change, not really about a building.
Correct. So although the applicant has presented a potential development, it's important for the board to remember that the zone change includes all available uses in an industrial too. So the question before us this evening is not an up or down on the actual Costco development. It's an up or down on whether we want industrial 2 uses to be on these 5 properties.
So it gets into the planning part.
Correct. Legislative duty. Correct.
Conservation and development.
Correct.
Where we have more development than we have conservation right now.
So this
The balance is off.
Correct. So this is a zone change request. It is not an up or down approval on any one specific project. They presented their project as a possibility should the zone change come forward. So it's up to the board to answer the first question, which is, do you feel the zone change is in conformance with the plan of conservation and development? If so, why? If not, why not? One of the lots is already zoned industrial 1. So when John talks about consistency, right? Because one of the lots is already industrial, then that argument can be made that the abutting property could be reasonably industrial. Whereas the other 3 lots that are surrounded by residential, I feel, are not. So no motion that includes those will be seconded by me. So the question before the board is, how do you want to proceed? So you can proceed with any of the 3 options that came forward. You could make a motion to rezone 1 of the 5 properties and leave the other 4 alone. It is up to the board how you want to proceed and how you want to make your motion.
I am allowed to make a motion?
You are allowed to make another motion.
So I want to go with option 3 then, please.
Okay? Do you want me to read that in the record for you?
Please, you can
All right.
do it.
So Ali has made a motion to approve option 3, which is the rezoning of 1197 Norwich Road and 407 Tarbox Road. The motion to approve application 25-6ZC with the following changes. 1197 Norwich Road, parcel ID 005-0004-0040, and 407 Tarbox Road, parcel ID 004-0004-0001 to Industrial 2. 0 Tarbox Road, parcel ID 004-0004-0003, 0 Pine Lane, parcel ID 005-0004-0031, and 0 Howe Road, parcel ID 005-004C-0004 are excluded from this approval in their entirety. Effective date of April 1st, 2026, the Commission finds that this zone change is consistent with the adopted plan of conservation and development. Do I have a second on Ali's motion of option 3? I will second his motion. So we have a motion and a second on option 3. All in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Aye. Opposed?
Okay, so because it's a split decision, we will have a roll call vote. So indicate your aye or nay when I call your name. Karla Desjardins, aye.
I have a point of order.
John Meyer, your point of order is not recognized.
If someone has shown a bias already for this property,
Then that is for appeal, that is not for this evening.
Okay, just let you know.
Karla Desjardins, aye. John Meyer,
Nay?
June Gagnon,
Nay.
Zulfikar Ali,
Aye.
Kathy Mestamaker Harris.
Nay.
Okay, so the application has not been approved with a vote of 2 yeses, 3 noes, so the application is denied. At this time, if there's anyone who wants to stay for the next part of our meeting, you are welcome to stay. If this was the only item you were here for this evening, I'm going to take a short recess, maybe a minute or 2, for you to exit, and so we can continue with the rest of our meeting. So a short recess, clear the room. Wanted to leave. So if all board members and staff are ready, okay? Are we ready? All right. Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We are coming back from a short recess, so we are reconvening. I want to thank Kathy and Ali for being seated on that last application. Since that application is over and Frank and Dan are here, Frank and Dan have their full voting rights back. And so Kathy and Ali, you are no longer voting members of the board. You are, well, you could if you wanted to, but I prefer you to stay. All right. So moving on to old business, item B, 26-1 SPL of Richmond Enterprises LLC, requesting site plan approval for a 3,600 square foot package store at 5-7A-7B and 0 Putnam Road. Existing store with apartment to be demolished. Assessors map 1CV, block 82, lots 11 and 11A, C2 zoning district. Do we have presenting for the applicant? Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Norm Tebow from the Engineering Associates.
Your microphone.
And the owners this evening.
Madam Chair, could you grab the mic?
Oh, yeah, microphone. Sure. Or you can take mine, I don't need it.
On top of the switch. You're saying you're loud enough?
I know, right? Loud and proud. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
For the record, Norm Tebow, Killingly Engineering Associates. I am here representing Richmond Enterprises, who will be the contractor / developer of this property and the owners. This property is 5-7A and 7B Putnam Road, which is Route 12 and School Street, Route 14. I think you're probably everyone's familiar with this. It's Central Village Discount Liquors, a small store that's there right now. And there are 2 lots, two separate parcels associated with this property, Lot 11 and Lot 11A. They will be merged into one contiguous parcel, and the merged area is slightly over a half an acre. The site is served by public water, public sewer, and is currently on the corner of Route 12 in Plainfield, the other side, on the southern side by School Street, which is Route 14. The front portion of the property currently has the building, which is non-conforming as far as setbacks go. There is a grass and lawn area in the back, a couple of large trees in the pavement. One of the other things too, the property next door that is owned by Stacy L. Palmer, they do have a deeded access to a garage at the rear of the property that goes through the subject property. That access will be maintained as part of this project, and it will be kept open throughout the duration of the project as well. So, We are showing this kind of in a two-phased project. The first phase would be removal of some pavement, some removal of existing trees, some regrading. There are currently some large concrete blocks that are over the property line into the right-of-way. One of the other things I think I should mention is that it took a little bit of detective work to figure out who the owner of this little strip of land is that goes between School Street and Route 14, because on the land records, it actually says that it is owned by the railroad. However, a little further research, we actually took back a lot of the research on the subject property itself. The owners thought that they were the owners of this strip. But back in 1986, the railroad actually deeded that little strip of land to the state of Connecticut. So there's actually this little cut through that people use to go between School Street and Putnam Road is actually owned by the state of Connecticut. We had originally shown some curbing and so forth that was going to be in that right of way. We have since removed it, and all the work is being kept on the lot itself. So what will happen during phase one is the rear portion of the lot will be graded out accordingly, trees removed, pavement removed, and construction of the building will commence. When they get to a certain point of that building, when they feel it's appropriate, there's going to have to be a transition period when the existing package store is demolished and the parking and drainage improvements are going to be put in, and that's all of those appurtenances are required in order to develop the lot. So that whole schedule will be determined by the developer and the owners themselves. Clearly, there's going to be they want to be able to keep the business open as long as they can during the construction of the new building, but there's definitely going to be a transition period when that first building is demolished. The existing package store does have residential apartments on the second floor. They are maximizing the size of the building and not including apartments on the second floor of this building. So the residential component of this property goes away with the construction of this new package store. And all of this is kind of driven by parking. So there were a couple of different iterations that we went through, sizing the building and then putting apartments above, taking the apartments out. Ultimately, they felt as though the best, I guess for lack of a better term, bang for their buck would be to just maximize the size of the building and put whatever parking they needed in as part of the construction of the new building. Phase two, we extend the construction fencing, the package store and residential structure will be demolished at that point. The site will be graded accordingly. Utility connections will be made to the new building. There is an existing sanitary sewer connection in the package store that conveniently kind of comes out the back in the southwest corner of the property. We're going to be able to come out of the new building and just intercept that with a manhole and not have to do any excavation within the state right of way. The drainage for this site is being kept entirely on site. We're very fortunate in fact we just went out here today finally because we were finally able to excavate test holes out there to determine what the soil types are like. We got some really nice gravel there, which is perfect for infiltrating. I've got a couple of catch basins that we're putting in, 3 separate infiltration beds, and the water, and also associated with these beds, we do have what I call these isolator rows. So the first flush of the drainage will go into these. Basically, it's a water quality treatment. They go into the first row of the infiltrators, They're wrapped in a filter fabric. They take out any kind of contaminants or sediment that might be associated with stormwater. And as those fill up, then the water infiltrates through the remainder of the subgrade infiltration components. The grade of the lot is going to be substantially the same as it is now. We're not really changing the grade significantly. We're really kind of bound by the roads that surround it. So we're going to be holding the grades except in the southwest corner where there is currently sort of a depression in the ground a couple of feet deep that will be filled in order to create a flat surface there. The 3,600 square feet at 200 square feet per parking space requires 18 parking spaces. We have the 18 parking spaces with some parking along the northern part of the site, in front of the building, and also along the side. We do have a loading area on the southwestern side of the building. There is a loading door right at the rear of the building where any kind of supplies that will be coming in will be loaded accordingly. And we fully suspect that most of the parking throughout the day or any given time are probably going to occur in this parking lot, and so this really seems to be the appropriate place for any kind of loading or deliveries to be delivered to the site. As I said, the soil testing we did today, we did 3 test holes, 82 inches, 78 inches, and 80 inches. Beautiful coarse sand and gravel all the way down to those elevations. And the infiltration rate, the percolation rate that we did was 3 minutes per inch. We have assumed a much more conservative, when doing the design, we actually, at 3 minutes per inch, that kind of translates to 20 inches per hour. Our drainage design utilizes 4 inches per hour to be on the safe side. And with that, at 4 inches per hour, we are able to collect and infiltrate up to a 100-year storm, which is about 7.6 inches. The site, we show some landscaping on the site. Here we're going to be planting a couple of flowering dogwoods, smaller trees, a couple of some fountain grass around the perimeter, mulch landscape beds, and around the rear of the site. We're going to be putting in some fencing and some arborvitae. Currently, right now, the fencing between the property, the subject property and the property to the rear, it's a chain link fence that's in kind of poor condition. We are going to replace that with a vinyl stockade fence and augment it with arborvitae as well to provide a much more significant buffer. The lighting that we're proposing on site, there will be some building mounted lights and then a couple of bollard lights along the parking lot. We're not proposing any tall lighting standards, and the bollard lights themselves have been called out to be dark sky compliant as well. The intention of the bollard lighting is basically just to allow some safe passage throughout the site for anyone utilizing the business. We are required to have 1 handicap space, which we have in front of the house, in front of the building. And the remainder of the sheets, we've got on the final sheet of the plans, sheet number 9, it's got details for the drainage design, from bottom elevation, invert elevations, all the components that are going to be necessary to construct this infiltration system properly. So, have you any other questions? I'll be happy to answer them at this point.
So staff did have some suggested conditions of approval, the planner conditions of approval. Item 1, any material stockpiles shall be properly contained. Item 2, an as-built of site improvements shall be required prior to receiving a CO. Suggested engineer conditions of approval. Item 1, activities shall be conducted in a manner that does not cause or contribute to violations of state water quality standards. Erosion and sediment control best management practices shall be installed immediately prior to and be maintained during and after construction as needed to prevent adverse impacts to water resources and adjacent land. Such practices shall be in accordance with the Connecticut guidelines for soil and erosion and sediment control. 2, the calculations shall be revised for consistency. Table 1, existing and proposed peak flows west, shall be revised for consistency with the routing calculation results. Did board members have any comments or questions for the applicant?
The traffic, because that's a small area, you know, it's like a corner. And any traffic come down Route 12 that wants to go down School Street, Blackhill Road, has to go cut through right where those parking
They
spaces
cut
are.
through there, or if they're coming from the south, you know, there's a fork in the road, where
Right.
they just veer off there.
But from the north, everyone goes that way. No one goes down and turns up.
Right.
I'm just concerned the parking is, you said 18 spaces?
Yeah, but they are located significantly off of that. So you've got the right of way here. This is actually the right of way line. The actual paved surface is about 10 feet off of the actual property line. Our curbs are here, so nobody's actually going to back out into the road. People be able to back out
It
into.
might be better now if you improve the whole, it might be better now.
I think so, because right now you just got those couple of spaces out in front of it.
Yeah.
And they're really tiny spaces too. They don't meet any kind of, any parking requirements, you know, they're very small spaces, they're tight. I did notice that people just kind of, there's no real defined, there's no defined entrance either.
Right.
So now it will be clear.
By putting in these curb lines and the parking spaces, we're actually going to kind of define the site a little bit better than what it is right now.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Yeah, John, go ahead.
Regarding the stormwater system, are you planning on having like hoods on the outlets for the catch basin and catch flowables?
Well, that's kind of the job of these pretreatment units. You know, they do have clean out ports in them. There is a schedule for cleaning that's been put on the plans. They should be inspected seasonally for the first year. And then after that, once you get a couple of inches of sediment buildup, they can be cleaned out accordingly. The catch basins will have sumps in them. I mean, hoods aren't a bad idea if it's something that the commission feels as though they'd be happier with. Easy enough to put a hood on the catch basin.
I've seen a number of catch basins set up where you have hoods because there's lots of things that get in there, like plastic bottles or things that float, which you probably don't want getting into your system.
Right, there's hoods or you can put like a 90-degree on the inlet pipe as well. And then that's always going to be submerged within the sump, and then the floatables, won't end up getting into that. And so, like I said, if it's something that the commission feels strongly about, I could certainly make that adjustment to the details and that. There are only 2 catch basins on the site, so.
I think I just saved you some maintenance.
Sure, absolutely.
And then again, what do you call them?
The isolator roads.
Yeah, those are readily accessible.
Yeah, they're readily accepted. They essentially, you've got inspection ports on each end of them. You just go into the back truck and vacuum them home.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So John has suggested that we add hood to the catch basins as a condition of approval. So in the event you're making a motion, if you want to include the planner's condition of approval, the engineer's condition of approval, and John's condition of approval, just indicate you'd like to add those as read by the chair.
And I might note, Karla, too, one of the engineer's comments or his suggested
Of the calculation.
condition, I already made that modification and I handed in that
Submitted
transcript
already?
this evening.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we could probably just leave it in there, just staff will verify and we'll do it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Any other comments from board members? Right, any other comments from staff?
No.
Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on the application.
I'll make that motion, condition with the suggested planner conditions, suggested engineer conditions, John's addition of the hoods, make motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion from Frank to approve with conditions as read.
I'll second that.
I have a second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is approved with those conditions as read. Thank you. All right, item C, 26-1SP of Katie Pettisnelli. This was the public hearing that's been continued, so we do have to continue this application. I'll entertain a motion to continue.
I'll make that motion to continue.
Motion by June to continue. I have a second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is continued. Moving on to item D, 26-2 SPL of John Fowley's Boundaries LLC, requesting site plan approval for a 3,360 square foot self-storage building at 97 Ward Ave, Assessors Map 2M, Block 94C, Lot 6, C2 zoning district. And we have presenting for the applicant,
Okay, thank you.
that's still mine. You got it?
Hello?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, good evening. My name is Tony Nana. I'm an engineer at Boundaries, and I prepared the site plan and engineering calculations. With me tonight is the owner, Bill Kuchar, the owner and developer. I'm going to take you through a couple of the existing conditions to kind of get acquainted with the area. So I'm going to start with this slide. It basically is an aerial image. And I superimposed where our project area is. So Ward Avenue runs to the north. There's 4 residential buildings on the north side of our project. And then everything else you can see is commercial buildings, parking lots. This part of the building, which is on the site, is, I believe, a residence. And to access the site, you come in off of Ward Avenue into the driveway curb cut, and there's a gate right here, which would access the existing storage buildings there in the back of the property. As it sits today, this is a vacant, maintained lawn where we're proposing the building. And the site is serviced by private wells and sewer. Our building that we're proposing will not require any sewer hookup or any water hookup. It's strictly a storage facility building, which will mimic what the other uses on the property are. So I'm going to take you to the next slide, which is the proposed site plan. And we're proposing a 3,000 square foot building. It's a storage building, so it's 1 story. The roof will be designed to be sloped towards the back so that the infiltration areas and swales will absorb the stormwater. Because this is a unit that will be accessed interior, there won't be garage doors on the outside. There will be a main hallway that comes down the middle of the building, and you have the storage units inside. We're proposing a concrete sidewalk that runs on the south, east, and west sides, and that's for access and also for emergency access of the second means of egress on the west side.
On the east side, we're proposing a combination of paved asphalt where the parking stalls are, and the remaining area to the west will mimic the ground cover of the other site, which is just a compacted millings. And we designed the stormwater to collect. Right now, the stormwater kind of discharges off-site into this area. So we're kind of mimicking the pre-development flows. The driveway will shed into this infiltration area, as well as a riprap swale, and then get into this bioretention area. We incorporated a drive path, or a driveway, to access the bioretention area for maintenance. And we've also honored any of the slopes of the swales that might be steep or prevent erosion. The lighting that we're proposing is minimal. Just building mounted lights. There won't be any pole mounted lights, and it's really for security purposes and for people that are accessing the main door on the east side. We are seeking a waiver from the landscape buffer against the northern property line. And currently there is a fence that runs east and west along the northerly property line. That fence will remain, and we're going to integrate PVC or vinyl slats in it. And then we're also proposing some shrubbery on that side. One of the reasons for the request is this area of the north behind the building acts as our stormwater, and we really shouldn't have trees growing into the swales, and it would just block the stormwater and have a negative effect on the infiltration capacity. But I have some photographs that I would like to share, but I only made 6 sets.
Share.
So these are some packets that I made. So I gave you a couple of views. That one.
So this is the existing fence that you want the privacy slats to go on?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the fence along the north line with that first picture, and you can kind of get a feel for the commercial buildings that are located to the west, downgrade from us. The second photo is looking at this area right here, the CPC building offsite, and again the photo portrays millings that are used for the driveway and parking areas. The third next one, same view, looking kind of westerly towards this development. And the next one shows it looking into this storage, or I'm sorry, into this building here. So between the fencing and the shrubbery that we're proposing, I think in my opinion, will minimize what the neighbors will see from that north side. Again, it's not a tall structure, it's probably 10 feet, 12 feet high. And I think it will actually enhance, believe it or not, the view that they're looking at now. We did have comments from the engineer, which I addressed, and I think as of last week, I think it was, I addressed all his comments, and he was, there was one, I think, condition that he wanted to have added to it. And that's pretty much it. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay.
Let's see if there's questions.
So staff did have a note about the condition that activities shall be conducted in a manner that does not cause or contribute to violations of state water quality standards. Erosion and sediment control best management practices shall be installed immediately prior to and be maintained during and after construction as needed to prevent adverse impacts to water resources and adjacent lands. Such practices shall be in accordance with Connecticut guidelines for soil erosion and sediment control. He also had a second condition, an as-built of the site improvements will be required prior to receiving a CO, certificate of occupancy for anybody who doesn't know that one.
Madam Chair, just a reminder of the.
Yeah, I'm getting there, sir. Thank you. All right. There is also the request for the waiver. In the past, the board has considered when adding privacy slats or vinyl fence to reduce the vegetative buffer because the screening would serve the same purpose. So we have two motions to consider. The first one to consider is the waiver request. So if members would like to approve that waiver request, then I would need a motion to do that. So the motion would be to approve the waiver request for the 25-foot buffer for the submitted site plan dated February 18, 2027. Do I have a motion on the waiver request?
I'll make that motion to the waiver request.
All right, I have a motion by June to approve. I have a second by Frank. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The waiver of the buffer is approved. We also have the motion on the application. Staff had no other notes except those two conditions, so if making a motion to approve, if you could include those conditions as read. Do I have a motion on the application?
I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions as read.
All right, I have a motion by June to approve with conditions as read. Do I have a second? I have a second by Dan. He's quicker on the draw. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is approved with the conditions as read.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, item E, 26, 1TA of Plainfield Planning and Zoning Commission, submitting a text amendment to zoning regulations to create a C3 design commercial development district. So at the last meeting, we discussed the intention of creating a C3 is to have a less intensive commercial zone so that when an applicant is coming forward on a property that may be appropriate for some commercial uses but not all commercial uses that are currently in a zone, that would be feasible and advisable for the board to consider. In reading the text, I had some suggested changes because some of the things that are strictly prohibited and removed included gas stations, fuel sales, delivery. So in looking at what would be allowed, it included drive-throughs, but when I think of the traffic generation of a drive-through, I do think that's a more intensive use of commercial. So I would want all drive-throughs struck from a C3 zone. So if the board wanted to move forward with this proposed text, I would suggest that drive-throughs be prohibited uses. Does anybody else have any points of discussion on the text as presented by staff? Or about my proposal to change drive-through to prohibited?
Ryan, is this consistent with, neighboring towns, or where did the verbiage, originate from?
We actually had it in 2009.
So the verbiage as far as what?
The language.
Right up to the C3 that's in front of us here, right, and the items that are listed within it. To Karla's point, she's proposing that we strike the drive-through aspect of it. I'm just wanting to understand a little bit more, is it more consistent having that language in there?
So, the language is in here, all the allowed uses are, current uses that are allowed are C1 and C2 districts.
Okay.
As far as striking some of them, other towns do have less intense zones that strike similar uses.
Okay.
And some towns do eliminate drive-throughs in certain areas.
Okay, thank you.
And Brian, I'm just curious, do we know why they struck it in 2009? I couldn't recall.
Struck what?
It said C3 district was eliminated in 2009.
It wasn't being used.
Okay. So we feel that there is a need now.
Yeah, this is not the same text that was in place in 2009. We're just reutilizing the C3 zone.
Okay. All right. Any other items from board members for discussion? Okay. So we can have staff present this application at next month's meeting? Or can we just schedule it for public hearing?
You can schedule a public hearing.
Okay. How do board members feel about my modification of removing the drive-through? Okay. So do we want to have staff present the application for a public hearing? So we want to schedule a public hearing for our next meeting, April 14th, 7 p.m. Town Hall, with the text revised, removing the drive-throughs.
Where are the drive-throughs? Are they on another, commercial?
C1 and C2 allow for drive-throughs.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to drive through, they could do C1, C2,
Right.
but not this one.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if the other applications, and, you know, if there's something that's very common to having drive-throughs, then we then, you know, that could restrict that, right? Let's say it was a Dunkin' Donuts or something like that, where it was a C3 that would have a pit. Well, hell, they're gonna have a drive-through, right? Like we wouldn't. So I didn't get a chance to look through all of them, but is there any contradictions of that nature that would be in there?
So you can always apply for a C1 or C2 district
Okay,
if they want to drive through.
okay.
I think the goal and intent is there is sometimes maybe a property that abuts the major roadway, but also abuts like residential. So maybe you wouldn't want a gas station right there, but you might want a professional closet. So I think that's the intent of this regulation. So for me, I feel like drive-throughs are too intense. Like, that's a lot of traffic generation. That's a lot of busyness. That's a lot of, so for me, I think that would not be a less intensive use. So that's why I would not want to include it in the C3. And we do not have to present this to public hearing next month. We could take another month, make any additional revisions if board members aren't comfortable moving forward. So that's up to the board.
One question for you.
Yeah.
Item I, financial institutions is removed.
I want all drive-throughs removed.
I wanted to.
Yep, that's what I want.
I agree.
We can
Yep.
take another prohibited uses, make it B in drive-throughs.
Yep,
Um,
drive-throughs prohibited.
And so the commissioner is aware that this gets put in as a text. You can always take them back off on certain uses, you just can't add more uses in.
All right, so if members feel comfortable with the text with that revision, we can schedule it to public hearing.
I do, I'd like to schedule it.
With those revisions?
With those revisions for April 14th.
Okay, I have a motion by June to schedule the text amendment as revised, removing drive-throughs, putting in prohibited, to the April 14th, 7 p.m. meeting. I have a second by Frank. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Scheduled for public hearing, April 14th. All right. Moving on to new business, item A, 26-3 SPL of H&J Holdings LLC, requesting site plan review to construct a 40 by 70 repair garage with associated parking and drainage at 131 Norwich Road, Assessors Map 15, Block 75, Block 4, C2 zoning district. Do we have the applicant here this evening?
Yeah, it is not prepared to move forward tonight.
Okay, so given that, I will entertain a motion to continue.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by June to continue, a second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is continued to next month. Item B, 26-1 PDD of HIAIS Holding LLC, requesting a petition for Plan Development District. This requires a public hearing, correct?
It does, yes.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to schedule the public hearing.
I'll write that motion.
April 14th, 7 p.m. Town Hall. I have a motion by Dan.
I'll second.
I have a second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is scheduled for public hearing April 14th, 7 p.m. Town Hall. All right. Moving on to reviewing and acting on the February 10th meeting minutes. So just a note on who submits the meeting minutes. It should be the recording secretary's name, because I did not take notes of any meeting. Yeah. so I will request that modification. Did anyone else have any modifications or changes to the meeting minutes? So hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes with my modification.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by June to accept with modification. Second by John, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Abstention.
And one abstention. All right, minutes are approved with one abstention. Correspondence,
We have none.
we have none. Report from zoning enforcement,
Nothing new to report.
nothing new. Planning from engineering,
Nothing.
nothing new. Under other, we have advisory letters citing council. At this time, no application regarding the trash plant has been submitted to the citing council. It is still in the air and waste deep process with no public participation at this time. We also had on the agenda to continue to review and discuss the home occupation regulations. Did anyone have any items to discuss or add, or whether they wanted to move forward or no longer discuss it? So it's up to the board if you want to move forward.
I'm happy to take a look at it, press Katie and the language that is put forth here. Only comments I did have on it, specifically on the second half of the page where we've now restricted it to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I think that sounds reasonable for most home occupations. If we start thinking about daycares. Okay.
Because they're governed by state of Connecticut. Got it.
Okay, so the time aspect of this would be overruled by the state aspect of it, which would be in the fourth bullet, or the permitting portion of the regulations.
No, just clarify that.
Okay. Because that was just a new constraint that I noticed that was put forth in there. The rest of it was sort of cleaning up a lot of the language and streamlining, but that had slightly.
I wanted to say that allowed by right.
Okay.
But I will look into that.
Just something that came to mind, you know, obviously. I don't have much knowledge on the daycare aspect of it.
And the new language would impact those home occupations applied for after the adoption of the language. So any pre-existing daycares or other home occupation would not have the applicable language applied to them. They would become grandfathering non-conforming. And you have a list of all of those home occupations that are on file. Okay. So if there's any questions about it, someone could go to the office and pull who. Okay. Very good.
And the other, you know, higher level question I did have is, if somebody falls outside of all these parameters, you know, what is the appropriate course of action for somebody to, you know, proceed? Would that be? Okay.
Okay. If somebody doesn't fit into the parameters of the home occupation, they won't apply.
Okay.
And this is administratively applied. So they go to you, and in the zoning office, you review the regs, you determine whether it meets or doesn't meet. It doesn't actually come before the board.
Correct.
Any other items from board members on this text amendment?
I'll make a motion to approve the provided text.
Schedule a public hearing.
Oh, schedule a public hearing. Schedule a public hearing for next month, April 14th, I believe.
Yep.
7 o'clock in the town hall.
7 o'clock.
All right, I have a motion by Deanne to schedule the home occupation text amendment to public hearing April 14th, 7 p.m. Town Hall. I have a second by Frank. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, excellent. Any abstentions? Hearing and seeing none. I'm seeing no other business. I entertain a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
make that motion.
Motion to adjourn by June, a second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.